Hey everyone, this is Brent Terhune from the Interweb Podshow, one third of the host here on the show, along with Matt Holt and Jeff Oskey. And they couldn't make it to the studio today, aka my living room sitting on the futon. But this is just a little teaser for the show coming up later this month, August 2010. And I have an interview, part of one actually, with comedian Stewart Huff, my friend. So I'll play that a little bit later, but in his act, Stewart talks a lot about homeless people, and I thought this was interesting. I found out about a week ago an article of an out-of-work comic named Don Hepner. The club in his town shut down, and actually he just stands on the street corner and tells jokes. That's what he does. The article says he makes up to $20 an hour panhandling, which is a pretty sweet gig. I'd do that. But he's an out-of-work comic. He just stands on the corner. You think like the homeless people across the street are like, hey, he's stealing my bit. That son of a bitch is stealing my material. You know, not so much the jokes, but the panhandling aspect. You know, I bet they're pissed off about that. But it's been my philosophy for like a year. I don't know, maybe about a year. But there's not much difference between homeless people and comics. You know, homeless people don't have a lot of money. Obviously, they're homeless. Comics don't have a lot of money either. You know, they're working for whatever shit gig they're doing that night. But you don't get paid a lot doing comedy, obviously. I'm broadcasting from the studio in my living room. But also, homeless people smell a little bit. Let's not try to sugarcoat it. They stink. I've met some comics in my career that stunk as well. And it's my philosophy that if you take away the cardboard sign from the homeless people, you give them a microphone. They've already got the brick wall behind them, you know, if they're standing downtown. They're just like a comic. If you've been to enough open mics, you've seen that comic that just goes up on stage and babbles. There's no punchlines. There's very little premise to any joke. He's just up there talking like a homeless person. It's pretty much a homeless person. You know, you give them a microphone, it's the same thing. So it's my philosophy, like I said, that if these homeless people worked a little bit more on their material and less on making money, they'd have something. You know, that's just, my thought. But right now I'd like to play that interview like I talked about a second ago with Stewart Huff. And all you need to know for this interview, at this point in the interview, he's discussing how he was homeless and living in his car. And then you'll find out. Just listen from there. Stay tuned to the Facebook page, the Interweb Podshow on Facebook.com. Just keyword search Interweb Podshow for more info on the episodes coming out later this month, August 2010. You want to email us at the Interweb Podshow at yahoo.com and tell us stuff we should talk about on the show, or guests we should interview, or how bad we suck before we even have the first episode out. So here it is, the interview with Stewart Huff. Thanks for listening, and look forward to talking to you a little bit more later this month. And so you've told me this before, like we've been friends for like 2 years or so, and you told me this story before, like you couldn't get up in Atlanta, like the club, you signed up for months and you weren't able to get up. Mm-hmm. And then you said you performed somewhere else that wasn't a comedy club?
Kmart. I went up at Kmart. It's so frustrating. If you can imagine, signing up, it was once a week. The open mic was once a week. It was on Tuesday nights. They put 4 people up who were at the club I was at. And 30 people would sign up. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of friendship, a lot of this and that, I saw some people slip the guy some money. Yeah. And I couldn't do any of that. Yeah. There's a lot of, here, take this, and then that person would get up on stage. So frustrating. Just spend every waking hour thinking about what am I going to do the next time I get on stage, and then someone tells you you're not going to go up. Yeah. At one point I was sitting in a parking lot of a 24-hour Kmart. It was about 2 a.m., and I was actually sleeping, or about to go to bed. Yeah. Yeah, about to turn the lights out and shut down the TV.
Your backyard is a Kmart.
Yeah. And I just thought, why does comedy have to be done in a comedy club? Mm-hmm. Why do you need that? All you need is people to listen to you. But it doesn't. Why is it just those 4 walls is the only sacred place? So I went to the electronics department in Kmart.
Mm-hmm.
They had a television display with like cheap TVs, boxes, and I stood in front of it and brought my notebook
mm-hmm.
and started telling jokes. I didn't shout them.
Yeah.
It's 2 a.m. The only
mm-hmm.
people in there are weirdos.
Yeah.
And me. And I just separated myself from the term weirdos, which is completely incorrect.
You're telling jokes in the electronics department of Kmart, and everybody
right.
else are weirdos.
Yeah, all those people are weirdos.
You're educating the weirdos.
Right. And I just stood there and told my jokes. And, you know, I didn't shout them, but I wasn't quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke clearly and, you know, confidently, tried to. And people would wander over
mm-hmm.
and stare at me. And then every night I did it. I did it, 5 or 6 times. I don't know, maybe 10 max. I can't remember how many times I did it, really. More than 5, less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
But people would see me. It's strange to see that. So people would kind of hesitantly wander over and watch you for a while. And I never made eye contact with them. I let them look at me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew they were there. I knew they were staring. And eventually, I guess they felt comfortable. They would come over to me, and they would say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I would say, "I'm trying to be a comedian, and I can't get on stage at the Punchline in Atlanta,
mm-hmm.
and I've got to tell these jokes. I'm driven."
Mm-hmm.
and they would say, some of them would go, "Whatever," and walk away.
Yeah.
And some of them would go, let me hear it. Tell me your jokes."
Yeah.
And I bombed my ass off in Kmart.
But you were headlining the Kmart.
I was headlining. Yeah.
How many years into your career? Less than a year?
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, it was a one-man show.
God damn.
Yeah.
You're headlining places 6 months into your career.
Yeah.
Granted, they're like Kmart, but still.
Still. Western Sizzling, watch out.
So you're at Walmart next week, or?
I'm at Walmart. I'm gonna be doing the lingerie section. I got promoted. Whirlwind tour.
I'm gonna be at Radio Shack. I'm talking 9 TV.
Hey, you near the wall barrels. Come here. Hey. The hell's going on over there? You don't need that many plants.
What's the deal with those things? Huh?
Hey, nice tookus, chick.
Hey, you guys like pussy jokes? Huh?
Hey, what? How old are you?
Oh. Yeah, you got banned from telling jokes in the toy section.
They ran me out every time. Every time they would run me out. I mean, I would stay there for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the security guard, that was the really interesting part to me. The security guard was too nervous to come over to me.
So it was just a job for him.
Yeah, and that was interesting. It's like, if you're kind of weird in Kmart,
mm-hmm.
then they'll come right up to you and go, "Hey, whatever."
Yeah.
Whatever it is. If you light up a cigarette in Kmart,
mm-hmm.
they're going to stop you immediately.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure people do that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody stands there and tells jokes in Kmart with a pad open reading it. And I had my tape recorder too in case I recorded the show.
In case you improv some gold.
Yeah, I might say something that I need to remember.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, and I treated it like a show.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would introduce myself and then walk up to near the TVs, and I wanted to treat it like a real show to get practice. And security guard would stare at me
mm-hmm.
over the clothes or whatever, and then come over and ask me what I was doing, and they always would kick me out. But they were never really mean about it.
Yeah.
But they would go, "You can't do that here. You got to go." And I would just say, "Okay, thanks." And then I would get in my car and go to sleep, or maybe drive to another 24-hour Kmart. There were 4 of them in Atlanta at the time.
So you headlined 4 places.
Yeah, so I would go. I had 2 shows that night.
Make sure you're tipping your security guards up there.
Hey,